Hi, today's practice is to help you during periods of stress. And for our practice today, I'll recommend having 2 blocks, 2 blankets, a strap, and a bolster. If you don't have those, a couple of pillows from around your house, a chair, or a stack of books, would also work well for you. We're going to begin in standing today. Tadasana, mountain pose. If your balance allows you, take your feet together. Otherwise, your feet are apart. Press down through the heel and the ball of the foot. See if you can balance that out. Maybe shift your weight to your heel, forward onto the ball of your foot. And find that place where it's an even press through the entire foot. Fingertips extend down. Gaze is at the horizon or above. Connect your breath. Feel your inhale and your exhale. Let's add on with arms overhead. Inhale your arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale your arms down to your sides. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale. Repeat that following your breath. Okay, we're going to have a forward fold next. So your heels will be at hip joint distance apart rather than outer hip apart. Have blocks in front of you. If you know that you're really inflexible, you could have a chair instead, and you can always take your hands or your forearms down to a chair, depending on your flexibility. Okay, so we'll stand tall to begin, inhaling. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Spine begins straight, and then allow the spine to round as your hands reach into the blocks. Let the weight of your head go fully. Let your shoulder blades release down so that it's weighted all the way through your hand. If your hands easily reach the floor or your support, you're bending the elbows straight back behind you. And you can allow yourself to come out just a bit with your inhale, and on your exhale, draw the low belly in, squeezing into the fold. Energize the press of your feet. Find the engagement of your low belly, and your inhale brings you up to standing. Reach your arms out and overhead. And exhale, release your arms down to your sides. Okay, we're going to take a wide leg forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. Again, if you're tight in your hamstrings, you'll have the blocks for support underneath your hands or a chair. And if you can easily touch the floor, you might choose the option of having the block instead for support for your head. So I will show you that variation today. I'm going to have my block on the medium height. You'll have your feet wide and pointing straight ahead. I'll show you the side view of this posture. So I'm going to bring the block to the center, inhaling. Exhale, hinging at the hips, spine is straight. Take your hands to the floor, and then again allowing the head to drop. And I'm already feeling that the middle setting is a little bit high. It's pushing my head up, so I'm gonna come on to the lowest setting. If you are able, bring your fingertips back in line with your toes. Okay, if balance is a little bit more complicated for you at this point, feel free to have your hands forward or wherever they need to be to support you. And let's breathe. Pressing actively, particularly through the inner foot. And you can even imagine a lift through the outer part of the foot, all the way up the outer leg. If your head is in the prop, release the weight of the head fully, please. In any case, please release the head. Steady your gaze at one point. Stay really active in the feet. Okay, again, if balance is an issue for you, keep your hands on the floor as you prepare yourself to come up. Otherwise, you can take your hands up onto your hips, engaging your low belly, and then inhale up with a flat back. Keeping the gaze down until you come to standing, and then bring the eyes back up to the horizon, and then we'll walk our feet together. Okay, next up is Utthita Trikonasana. So we'll take a block to the outside of the front foot. I'm going to begin with my left foot forward, right foot back. The toes are coming mostly forward, kicked out to the side a bit. I want you to balance the press through your feet and feel that there's an evenness in your the way that you have weight distributed in your hips. Inhale the arms forward and back. Exhale, release the pelvis towards the back leg. Take your hand down to the block. Inhale, reach the top arm overhead. If balance is okay for you, you can take your gaze up at the thumb. Otherwise, the gaze straight ahead or even down at the floor. On the front leg side, we're releasing the outer hip back in space, and then reinforce through the press of the first and second toe pad, ball of the foot, excuse me. Wide through the chest. In this posture, even though my hand is down, I'm easily able to lift my hand away from my support. So you're really working strongly through your legs. Okay, your inhale will bring you up. Reach up through the top arm, strong, press through the legs. And release the arm down. Okay, we'll take the second side. I'm gonna pivot my feet to face the back of my mat. Okay, one more thing to point out. Unless you are really flexible in the hips, then your heels could be on the same line. Otherwise, you want to have space this way between your heels so that you could roll a ball between your feet. Okay, so again, find that the weight is balanced in your hips. Inhale the arms forward and back. Exhale, release your pelvis back away from the front thigh as you come down, taking the hand onto the block, drawing the front outer hip back, and pressing through the inner ball of the foot. Okay, the gaze is down to the horizon or up, depending on where your balance is and if it's okay for your neck. Okay, we're working with straight legs here. So if you're not able to work with a straight leg, please bring your props higher. And then you're allowing this back hip to gently roll forward. So the back hip gently rolls forward, and then the front leg side, it's releasing back in space. And then the rotation happens in the torso. Okay, one more breath here. Inhale yourself up to standing. And exhale, release your arms down. Okay, we'll have downward facing dog next. If you're needing a break, you could take child's pose. So I'll show that to you briefly. That would be your hips down to the heels and then releasing the arms forward, head down. Okay, you could alternately take the back of the hands up. If you're taking downward dog, placing the hands down on the mat, inhaling. Exhale, low belly to the spine, press up and back. And keep a soft bend in the knees today. Drop the weight of the head. You want to have some sense of broadening the upper back. So moving from the inner part of the shoulder towards the outer part of the shoulder. But still being able to press through the inner hand. And then imagine the rib cage releasing back behind you. Feel the sit bones releasing back into space. Steady your breath. Your next exhale brings you down onto your knees. Okay, if you don't have any blocks, you could sit in Vajrasana, hips on your heels. If that's not comfortable for you, I would say take a seat in a chair. You could also, if you have a block, take Virasana. So that means that the feet are going to be apart and you will sit back on the block there, either on the middle or low setting. If you want to do Virasana and you have a lot of tightness in your knees, you could also do 2 blocks stacked at this height. Okay? Then we're going to lace our fingers together, reach the palms forward, and inhale our arms overhead. Turning the palms up towards the heavens. Soften your jaw, your tongue, your eyes. Connect with the beating of your heart. Watch your breath. Elongating the side body. On your exhale, bring your arms down. And then switch the way that the first finger is crossed. Inhale, arms overhead when you're ready. So see if you can focus the lift on this outer line and relax this space as much as you can. So it will engage to some extent, but see if you can turn off the extra work. You can close your eyes. Softening the front of the ribs down. Exhale, release your arms down. Okay, we're going to take our palms to face the front, take them on the backs of the hips and draw the elbows back. Okay, on your inhale, lift through your chest and find a little bit of a back bend, taking the gaze up. Keeping the chin drawn slightly in towards the throat to keep the compression out of the back of the neck. Okay, and then we'll inhale back upright and release. We have Baddha Konasana next, bound angle pose. And we'll take today's Baddha Konasana as a restorative version. So I will invite you to have your bolster. And then a blanket folded in half for your head. You can even do a second one if you have two. So I want to have my sacrum, the triangle bone in the pelvis, free and clear of the bolster so that it has room to move. So this will be on my low back. Sacrum is free, and here are the hips. And then I'm going to use my blocks to support both my lower leg and my upper leg. So take the soles of the feet together, supporting the lower legs. Sacrum is free, bolster on the low back, head supported. Take your palms face up, close your eyes. Sink all of your weight into the support of the earth and watch your breath. Today, let's equalize the inhale and exhale to whatever feels easy for you. Relax even your skin. Let the eyes rest heavily into their sockets. Okay. And then use your hands, bring them to your outer thighs and guide the legs together. Shift on to your hip, outer hip, roll to the side. Use your hands to come up. We'll take a restorative version of Setu Bandha. So I'm going to have my bolster with my 2 blankets folded in half lengthwise behind. If you happen to have 4 blankets, you could do 2 blankets and 2 blankets. Okay. Then the height is a little bit more even. Take your strap and create a loop. The way that you create a loop is to take the end through both of the rings and back through one. The strap is not necessary. I just use it so that my legs are able to relax even more in this posture. And so here I'm looking at having the space just underneath the tips of my shoulder blades off the edge of the bolster. So I'm going to come on to the bolster. I'm going to put the loop around my legs, just above the knees. Okay, and then I'm going to use my hands to support me coming back so that the tips of my shoulder blades are at the edge of the bolster. Use your core and roll back down. So we're looking for an opening across the center of the chest. Okay, and I'm going to be quiet again in this posture while you are watching your breath, equalizing the inhale and the exhale. And once again, allowing your body to relax deeply into gravity. One thing I want you to check for in this posture is that your upper back is able to fully come in contact with the floor. If it's not, move your whole body towards your head. I also want you to notice if there's any lift in your chin. It should be neutral. If you have a lift in your chin, please place a small blanket or pillow underneath your head to support that. Take just a moment to connect with the area of your lower ribs, the space of the diaphragm, and take a 360-degree felt sense observation of that area and see if you can allow the diaphragm to move freely around the entire distance of your rib cage. Okay, that's our time in the pose. So I'll have you bend your knees. The bottom of your exhale, roll onto your side, off of the props. Use your hand to push into the floor to bring yourself up. Release the strap. Okay, so today I'm recommending Viparita Karani for your final relaxation pose, which will be legs up the wall. You can choose to lie flat or with hips elevated. And if you prefer to lie flat for your Shavasana or have support underneath your knees, that's also okay. It's up to you. I will show you a hips elevated version. I'm going to have my props about 1.5 feet away from the wall. I'm going to sit on top of my bolster. Then I'm going to shift my hips towards the wall and take my legs up the wall. Use my elbows to support me, engage my abdomen to roll down, palms up. So in this posture, I have the top of my sacrum and the low back supported by the prop. You could choose to have blankets underneath your bolster if you want a little bit more height. And then scan your body for any residual tension and see if you can consciously let it go. And in our final relaxation, there is a sense of gentle alertness. So you're quite relaxed while still engaged with your senses. So I will be quiet again for a few moments and let you know when it's time to come out. Prepare yourself to move again. If your hips are elevated, bend your knees and place your feet into the wall. And push your feet up towards your head to come off your props and then onto your side. We'll all meet on our sides to rest for a moment. Use your hands to come up to a seat and take a comfortable seated position, perhaps up on your support. Take your hands together at heart center and close your eyes. Just noticing how you feel, how it's changed since the beginning of our practice. Let's bow our head to our hearts and have a moment of loving kindness, especially for those that may be suffering. And then allow your eyes to open to a gentle gaze. Thank you so much for taking the time to practice with me today.